Like, I don't, yeah, like this, sometimes I don't even want to explain it because I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to talk about it. The reason I feel that way is because my sister doesn't want to hear about it. She's making her own amends with my father. And so, like, when it becomes super real, if I'm like sobbing, this has happened twice. I know that because it's happened twice. I've been super real in that moment, and like, Suge is having her own. My dad is not her dad. It's my half sister. My dad raised her, is her dad. It's my sister, her dad. But I'm telling you that, like, two times with my sister, that, like, she's had understanding other times and she listens to me. This is the truth. Two times, I have been adamant and very serious on trying to relay to my sister the monstrosity. Like, I know that sounds so brutal, and I know it sounds like I'm over exaggerating. But, like, when I'm trying to explain to my sister that I'm like, it was beyond what we knew. Like, what we knew is him being this person, like, it's so much beyond that. It was so terrible. It was so violent. Violent. Like, the term. It was violence living with him. And when I get into that conversation with my sister, she doesn't want to hear it. She asked me both times that I've gotten into that conversation with her to stop. She's literally asked me. That's tough, right? I did. I didn't. I was like, yeah, okay. And that's why sometimes I feel like it's so serious having that conversation with my brother, because I haven't had that conversation with my brother to that extent, to where I could get him to 100% realize and understand that I really am describing a monster. And not as a human, but as a person in that time in their life, experiencing absolute seclusion, depression, and alcoholism, and myself as well, completely experiencing seclusion from social contact or anything. Um, Dude, it's hard to get into this aspect of this part of the story because my mom left. My brother and sister experienced what they experienced, but all of them are just completely guilt free of this mess that they left behind. And like, I'm sure it wasn't flowers and daisies in Oklahoma, but today I had a conversation with my brother about how as a freshman I wasn't getting my shit together. And I mean, from fifth grade is around the time that they left. Sixth grade, I think it was fifth grade. But from fifth grade to freshman year, I had been failing every class. I was just continually moved on. Dad wasn't helping me with homework. The after school program would do my homework. Um, Dude, this is beside the crazy points of dad sleeping with my teachers at the time and the police arriving to Jamestown Middle School because Scotty and dad had picked me up stumbling drunk, holding each other up, and like them being reprimanded. And it's funny because those stories are funny, but not funny for my future. And dude, like, I lived a wild life. It was fun. I don't hate it. I think this part of the video, though, was the thing that caused me to make it was that when I talked to my mom and my sister about it, they're women in my life. They're real, like, real understanding women in my life. I think they can't. I'm not saying that it's so it's not so specific and so special that they can't understand that it happened to me. I think that the amends that they made within themselves can't imagine our dad, my dad, being this person. And it's funny because, like, even today he has multiple cases against him abusing his wife and stuff, and that's between them. I don't care about it. I hope some of the abuse that she's endured can reflect on the abuse that I endured being a child in his home. I will admit that there was a certain teenage years, probably 15 or 16. No, maybe younger, 14 years old. I think that he stopped fucking with me abusively, but there was a very vulnerable time in my life. I think it was like just turning 11 to about 12 and a half, maybe 10 and a half to 12 and a half, somewhere in there. I had experienced some very, very serious, like, mental and emotional and physical, like blood drawn, fat lip, bloody nose, uh degrading words, degradation, right? Like, you're nothing, and lots of things like that, and a lot of, just, and that becoming my normal was the best way to accept that. And it's funny because I'm just saying that, like, I did live a long life. People live long lives. Year is a long time. Fairly. I think I have 10 instances of very intense beatings that were alcohol induced and painful to remember. I think I probably have 10 experiences of not being ass whooped, but just being degraded as, like, fucking motherfucker, just nastiness, like, and if it wasn't dad himself, it was just the people around him. I have stories about just, like, and it's funny, like, yeah, dude, the more I describe it, the more easy it sounds, the more like, oh yeah, it doesn't sound like it was that bad. But I think me trying, dude, I'm trying everything that I can to excuse it, make it good. The last thing that I want to say in this video that I think is the most important thing of all was that my father wasn't abused himself. No one during my father's childhood, or his father himself or his mother himself, had ever beat or abused my father in his childhood. His father was not there, and my father deals with memories of my brother whooping his younger brother in their bedroom. And it tormented my dad to hear his brother get whooped like that in the middle of the night. And it bothered him a lot. And he says that he guilts himself to this day that he didn't step in and do something to protect his little brother from his abusive mother. And I think that it doesn't need to be said of why I feel a little bit of resentment toward that, in the sense of maybe you don't feel bad for me. Maybe you feel bad for dad. Maybe he was abusing me because he had seen so much abuse from his mom to his brother. But from my perspective, who was I'm not going to say victim, like the person receiving the negative end of him, I think the thing that bothers me was that I wished his father had beat him, because then I would understand. Like, if his dad had done that to him and he did it to me, I would get it. I think that I don't think that his experiences say less about him. I just don't think that I deserved it. And I think that if he had had it as bad as I had, I would feel better. I think that a lot of my pain is hopefully a false belief that it was worse for me. I don't know how I worded that. I'm saying that I hope that it was worse for him than it was for me. Because if it was worse for me than it was for him, then that really would make him a monster. By popular opinion, I would assume. So, like, beyond me trying to convince other people that he was capable of hurting me, I'm more comfortable in telling myself that it must have been really terrible, the things that his mother was doing to his brother, and him not to say anything and deal with that. I hope that that was much worse of an experience than it was for me experiencing it. And then there is no talk about me carrying it on or changing the cycle. It's just, I mean, to me, I just hope that the end of this would be that it's just universally unacceptable. And that I'm not going to get anything. I'm not going to get clarity. Nobody's going to help me. There's nothing for me. I get to deal with it. And again, it's just victim mentality. I'm a victim. That's like what I get. That's what I get. It's the card I drew. I'm not a victim. I'm trying, but I just existing with the thought processes and unfairness of it all is just heating me up. I don't think I earned anything. I don't think I deserve anything more than the average person. I've been blessed with what I've had.